So ظهور الإنسان في شعار الموجودات now وتخصيصه بقوة شيء فشيء منها. So ظهور الإنسان في شعار الموجودات. So here the human being, as they manifest amidst these existent, these emblematic existent things that we have, and then how he is particularized with this power in their midst. So he says ذات الإنسان من حيث ما اجتمعت فيه قوة الموجودات صار وعاء عن العالم. The human being's essence, in terms of what is gathered in it from all the potentialities of existent things, has become a vesicle for the meanings of the world. إنما الكون معان قائمة بالصور. You know, the whole world are meanings set up in images. كل من يدرك هذا كان من أهل العبر. So your ability is to penetrate the meanings of existence. That's what you have. And so that's what he's saying, that you are a wi'a for ma'ani al-alam. You are a wi'a for ma'ani al-kawn. كل من يدرك هذا كان من أهل العبر. Whoever understands that all of existence are forms, their meanings set up in forms. But people get lost in the form. They get lost in the surah and they lose the ma'na. So then he says, وَطِينَةَ صُورِهِ وَمَعْدِنَ آثاره ومجمع حقائقه وكأنه مركب من جمادات ونبات وبهائم وسباع وشياطين وملائكة ولذلك قد يظهر في شعار كل واحد من ذلك. So he says that he is the gathering place of all of these realities. He is the mine of all of their effects. And so he says, it's as if he is the composite of the inanimate, the vegetable, the animal, the high animals, the demons, and the angels. All of them come together in the human being. وَلِذَلِكَ قَدْ يَظْهَرُ فِي شِعَارِ كُلِّ وَاحِدٍ مِّن ذَلِكَ. And for this reason, those things that are emblematic in each one of those things can manifest in that person. Those things that really essentialize each one of those types of things can manifest in that person. So he says, فَيَجْرِي تَارَةً مَجْرَى الْجَمَادَاتِ. Sometimes he is like the inanimate things in his laziness. There's no motility. There's no volition. It's somebody who has no will. وَقِلَّةَ تَتَحَرَّكْ. Doesn't move. وَالْإِنْبِعَاث. There's nothing that is engendering in him. There's no incentivizing. There's nothing will incentivize him. وعلى هذا نبه الله تعالى بقوله ثم قست قلوبهم من بعد ذلك فهي كالحجارة أو أشد قسوة. So their hearts became hard after that. They were like stones or even harder. So Allah says, they're like that mineral world. وقد يظهر في شعار النباتات. Or sometimes those things that are emblematic in the vegetable world. الحميدة أو الذميمة. Either praiseworthy or blameworthy. فيصير إما كالأترج الذي يطيب حمله ونوره وعوده وورقه أو كالنخل والكرم فيما يلي من النفع أو كالكشوث في عدم الخير أو كالحنظر في خبث المذاق. وعلى هذا نبه الله تعالى بقوله ضرب الله مثلا كلمة طيبة كشجرة طيبة أصلها ثابت وفرعها في السماء ومثل كلمة خبيثة كشجرة خبيثة اجتثت من فوق الأرض ما لها من قرار. So he says that sometimes they're like these vegetable things, like for instance the atruj. The atruj, I mean, they usually say it's a lemon hindi. It's like a grapefruit. I really feel it's the orange. In Spanish they say naranja, which I think maybe came from that, Allahu A'lam. But because the Prophet ﷺ said the mu'min that reads the Quran is like the truj. ريحه طيب وطعمه طيب. It has a good smell and it tastes good. And he said, وَالْمُؤْمِنَ الَّذِي لَا يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنَ كَالتَّمَرِ لَا رِيحَ لَهُ وَطَعْمُهُ حُلْوٌ. It has no smell, but it has a good taste. And he said, الْمُنَافِقَ الَّذِي يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنَ كَالرَّيْحَانَ. It has a sweet scent, but it's bitter to taste. And the one that doesn't read the Quran is like the handal, no scent, but it's bitter to taste. So that's what he's saying here, is that we have those qualities. So he says the utruj he says it's like it has a good scent, it has a beautiful flower, it has nice, the oud is good, the wood and the leaf of it, or like the date palm, or like the grapevine, in that they give so much benefit, because they give benefit not just in their food, but also in all the uses. I mean, the Arabs used the date for so many things. They used it for writing on, they used it for, the Prophet ﷺ flossed his teeth with the date fiber. They used it for building. A lot of building materials come from the date palm. And they also used it for clothing as well. So many, many benefits from the date. And then he says, kashuth. The kashuth is, if you go to the south, they have these big trees, and they have this, it's like gossamer. It hangs from the tree. I don't know what they call it. There's a word for it in English, though. But it's a rootless type of parasite. You know, it's a rootless moss. It's like a moss on the trees. So that's what he means by kushuth. There's no good. It's just there, and it has its own kind of beauty, because everything Allah makes is beautiful. So even when you see like a dead tree, there's something beautiful about a dead tree. Or you take like somebody like Georgia O'Keeffe. I mean, she did many, many drawings of skeletons, just of cows' heads that she would see out in the New Mexican desert. So everything Allah makes is beautiful. Whereas our garbage is ugly. Human garbage is ugly. But all of God's waste products, when you see them, like you go and see dead seaweed on the beach, there's a beauty to it. And so even with the kushuth, but he's saying it doesn't really have any benefit. It's actually not good for a tree. Or كحنظل في خبث المذاق, or like colocynth, because it has a foul taste. وعلى هذا نبه الله تعالى بقوله ضرب الله. So then Allah has showed us this when he said a good word is like a good tree. Its roots are firm and its branches are in the heavens, which is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And a bad tree is foul. A bad word is like a foul tree. It has no, it'll just be uprooted easily, and it has no stability. Like, a tree that's rotten, when the winds come, it just blow it over, but just pull it out. You'll see the roots pulled out. And then he says, or like كالطير المسمى بأبو الوفاء في الوفاء. There's a bird called Abu al-Wafa, which means the loyal bird. So, because it comes back to the same place again and again. And so there's people like that are very loyal. Or كخنزير في الشرع, or like the pig in its appetite, greed. Or كالذئب في العيث, or like the wolf in its aith is like causing trouble. So it's a troublemaker. The wolf comes in and eats all the chickens. أو ككلب في الحرص, or like the dog in its covetousness. أو كالنمل في الجمع, or like the ant in its, ants are hoarders, right? There's people that are hoarders. So he's saying that there's people like ants, there's people like dogs, there's people like rats. أو كالفأرة. I mean, we even use that term, he's a rat, right? أو كالفأرة في السرقة. أو كالثعلب في المراوغة, or like the fox in its craftiness. يراوغ. The Prophet ﷺ He said that towards the latter days he wished that the ulama would يراوغوا روغان ثعلب. They would be more like the fox, because the fox is weak. So when the Muslims have no power, they should be more like the fox. Because the fox is a weak animal, but it makes up with its weakness with its intelligence. It's crafty. That's why Aesop always has the fox. You know, the lion invites the fox into the cave. And the fox said, I think I'll pass. And the lion said, well, I'm just being hospitable. And he says, I see all these fox footprints going in, but I don't see any coming out. So the fox is smart, and that's why Aesop uses him like that. So, أو كالقرد في المحاكاة, or like the monkey in its imitative nature. The monkey does yuhaki, right? The Sudanese, they say, li ma عنده ورد قرد. If you don't have a wird, like if you don't have a devotional practice every day, you're like a monkey. li ma عنده ورد قرد. So قرد. أو كالحمار في البلادة, or like the donkey in its stupidity. You know, the donkey is like a dumb animal. It doesn't obey, right? And it'll just, you know, you can beat it and it just, it won't budge. It's got this stubbornness to it. أو كالثور في الغمارة, or like the thawr in a kind of its rashness. You know, like it'll, you know, the thawr will just out of rage attack something. وعلى هذا النحو من المشابهات دل الله تعالى بقوله وما من دابة في الأرض ولا طائر يطير بجناحه إلا أمثالكم ما فرطنا في الكتاب من شيء ثم إلى ربهم يحشرون. So there's no dabba. Dabba is anything that walks on the earth. Dabba yadibbu dabiban. Anything that walks on the earth is dabba. But it can also, dabbat al-ard is the termite, right? But it's usually, dabba is like a kind of imperceptible, because most animals, if you notice, are very quiet because they all have natural enemies. So you very often don't notice animals. Like cats, you won't even notice cats. And animals in nature are very, they're always, you know, their ears are always checking. Because they all have natural enemies. So he says there's no dabba in the earth except, or a bird flying in the air with its two wings, except their communities like unto yourselves. All right, so that's what he's saying, that we have all these things in us, which is why many traditional peoples, and the Arabs still do this. We don't do it so much. I think there might be a few names left that do have some, but traditional peoples always named their children after animals. It's very common. Because they were looking at the positive. They didn't name them cockroaches or rats, or they named them eagles, and, you know, like Saqar is an Arab name. You know, Fahad, Asad. Right? These are high things. In some of the Native American tradition, they would name them after animals with defects. But they did it because they wanted, an animal that has a defect will make up for it with its cleverness. So it was kind of a way of, you know, wanting them to have some kind of benefit from that. So he says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَا, and then he says, وَيَظْهَرُ تَارَةً فِي شِعَرَ الشَّيَاطِينِ, and sometimes in those things that are emblematic to the demons, فَيُغْوِي وَيُضِلُّ وَيُسَوِّلَ الْبَاطِلَ فِي صُورَةِ الْحَقِّ, so they will lead astray and misguide and convince somebody that falsehood is, they will deem falsehood and make it appear to be true. فَيَبْتَغِيَ الضَّلَالَ, they seek error. وَيَتَّبِعَ الْهَوَى, and follow their passions. كما دل الله تعالى عليه بقوله وكذلك جعلنا لكل نبي عدوا شياطين الإنس والجن يوحي بعضهم إلى بعض زخرف القول غرورا. And like that, we have made made for every prophet enemies from the shayateen al-ins wal jinn. So the human shayateen are the worst ones. They're the worst. Like I mean, now the shayateen, the marada are locked up, but the human shayateen are in, they're in full force always. So then he says, وَيَظْهَرُ تَارَةً فِي شِعَارِ الْمَلَائِكَةِ, and sometimes he manifests in those things that are emblematic to the angels. فَيَتْبَعُ الدِّينِ وَيَعْصِي الْهَوَىٰ, he follows the way of the deen, piety, and disobeys his inordinate passions. وإنما يكون إنسانا إذا وضع كل واحدة من هذه الأشعرة في موضعها حسب ما يقتضيه العقل المستضيء والمستبصر بنور الشرع. So place all of these emblematic aspects of these things in their proper place, that is governed by a illuminated and piercing intellect that is illuminated by the light of the Sharia. Wallahu a'lam, and Allah knows best. So then he goes into mahiyatul insan. Mahiya is a really interesting word because it's one of these. It's a portmanteau word that comes from mahiya, and the medieval scholastics clearly got this word from us because they talk about the quiddity, which is quid est, which is exact same thing, mahiya. So that was their translation from the Arabic text when they talked about the mahiya. So the mahiya is what gives you the essence of something. It tells you what it is because you perceive, you abstract the form. So in the causes, you see the formal cause of the thing. And seeing the formal cause, right, is what enables you to penetrate the mahiya. Like you say, what is it? Like, what is this? What's its mahiya? This is a book. And then you can define the book of what it is. So now he's going to get into what is a human being? What's the mahiya? What is it? A human being. Mahiyatul insan. ماهية كل شيء تحصل بصورته التي يتميز بها عن أغياره كصورة السكين والسيف والمنجل ونحوها. So the essence of the quiddity of everything is acquired through its form that distinguishes it from all other things, like the form of a knife or a sword or a minjal. So those three things can be used. All of them can be used, I mean, for different things, but generally they're weapons, really, right? They're blades of some sort. So the minjal, you use it to harvest wheat or harvest corn. The scythe, I think it's scythe or scythe. Anybody? Scythe, yeah. So the minjal is that's what you use to harvest. The sword you use to fight usually, and then the sakin can be used for fighting or for many. It's one of the most beneficial tools that humans have. There's tools that the Arabs call al-muhillat. The muhillat are the tools that if you have them, you don't need anybody. That's what the Arabs say. You can go wherever you want. Halla haythu sha'a. If you have the muhillat, halla haythu sha'a. Like, and it's said that the Adam alayhi salam came down with the anvil and the hammer when he came to the earth. That was the thing he needed to, because we're tool makers. We're unique. There are many creatures build houses, but no creatures use tools. Right? Not like humans. We make tools. So these are the mahillat. So you know us the different. You can tell the difference between a sword and a knife by its form. I mean, obviously you get to a point where it gets fuzzy. So is it a hill or is it a mountain? I mean, this is where fuzzy logic comes in. But generally, harakan mutanatti'un. Generally you can see something clearly for what it is, and that's the form of a thing.